And hello everybody, welcome back to British Stand. Antifa, Palestine Action, all of these far left groups that we have been talking about countless of times here on this channel. We spoke about them intensely and have said that they are violent and hate the countries that they reside in. They are nothing more than a violent group that want to cause pain on people. Now, we've got two big stories here for you today. The first one takes us to France, and it is with regard to Antifa, as Antifa have beat a 23-year-old man who is a conservative to death in Lyon. He was reportedly one of 15 security staff protecting Collective Nemesis, essentially an organization campaigning for women's safety. Now, according to reports, the group was attacked by 40 radicals from Jean God Antifa. Quentin, the boy, was severely beaten, suffering critical head injuries, and was rushed to hospital where doctors declared him brain dead. Antifa murdered him. We're going to be going through this first story in today's video. And on the same day, ladies and gentlemen, a UK High Court ruling has decided that essentially Palestine, the decision to prescribe Palestine Action is unlawful. A group that attack police officers, a group that cause violence and are a part of the same associates of that of Antifa. As always, guys, we're going to break this down, go through everything in detail, go through some video footage from the scene. But first, please do hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for more, and do get involved in the live chat. We'll be taking your questions a little bit later on. So, first story here, guys. Of course, 23-year-old conservative Quentin was murdered by an Antifa mob in France today. Here's a full story and a full detail breaking down on what has happened. French Antifa radicals in Lyon beat to death a 23-year-old Quentin who defended activists from Collective Nemesis. The leader of the Antifa movement openly supported Hamas terrorists and has repeatedly evaded justice. Quentin, who was 23, was a student of finance and mathematics. He had converted to Catholicism several years ago and attended Mass with the priestly fraternity of St. Peter. Those close to him described him as a devout, saying his conversion also led members of his family back to faith. He was also an active in nationalist circles and had agreed, along with about 15 others, to provide security for a Nemesis event near the IEP in Lyon, where far-left politician Rima Hassan was giving a lecture. According to accounts from those present, the women of Nemesis were first assaulted, after which the group packed up and left. In nearby streets, they were reportedly pursued by several dozen activists linked to the Jean God Antifa movement. During the chase, Quentin was knocked down by Antifa radicals who were pursuing him and then kicked him in the head several times. He sustained severe head trauma. He initially managed to get up and leave with a friend, but later collapsed near a place in Lyon. Emergency services were called and he was admitted to hospital with a brain hemorrhage and placed into a coma. He was later declared brain dead. Radicals from the group have previously been accused by opponents of violent actions against activists and students. The movement is led by Raphael Arnault, a notorious radical who has drawn police attention in the past and publicly expressed support of Hamas, referring it to as a resistance movement. The video shows the moment when Antifa first attacking activists from the Collective Nemesis. There's a lot of video footage currently going on around this attack, of course, but this is the Collective Nemesis, the group they're on about. And this is an image of the Lyon-based Antifa terrorist group, which murdered Quentin, a 23-year-old French patriot who was protecting women during a protest. Yeah, familiar faces, familiar people. And this comes to a point why Antifa has not been prescribed as a terrorist organization in the United Kingdom. Well, it probably wouldn't matter, because Palestine Action, a prescribed terrorist organization in the United Kingdom, violent, attacking police officers, breaking people's backs, a police officer's back, have found themselves in winning a bit of a bid to try and overturn the prescribing of them. A High Court ruling said that the ban was unlawful, and it looks as though that they may actually get reverted, not as a terrorist organization. We're going to get to that in a moment. There's plenty of reaction to that in the United Kingdom, but I want to keep on this situation with regard to Quinton, because this isn't the first time Antifa have showed their violent side. They are a violent group. And here is some more footage from the scene of this attack, mobbing one individual, which ultimately led to his death. These individuals are cowards. They are violent, and it's absolutely disgusting. I know these headlines get automatically generated, but this is so wrong. There was no clash between the far right and Antifa. Multiple Antifa singled out a young man and beat him to death because he was there to protect female patriotic activists who were peacefully protesting. Where is the outrage over this, these individuals? Absolutely shocking. The stuff that we've been hearing out of the United States, talking about the far left, and of course decisions being pandered towards them in regard to ICE, trying to crack down on pedophiles and all the rest of it. And then you see an individual, a young boy, who's protecting females, peacefully protesting, ganged up by this mob. Absolutely shocking and absolutely disgusting. It genuinely is. This was a statement from them. Last night, our Lyon-based activists staged a happening in front of a conference led by Rima Hassan at the Institute of Politics in Lyon. Our activists, 5 in number, were assaulted on the outskirts of the meeting, not far from them. Around 15 activists were present to ensure their security. These men were unable to assist them because at the same time they were chased by a group of about 30 anti-fascists. One of them, Quinton, was attacked with extreme violence. The anti-fascists knocked him to the ground and beat him, leaving him for dead in the street. Quinton was swept to the ground, his head struck the pavement, and he was then lynched with kicks. His attacker were hooded and armed with reinforced gloves and pepper spray, leaving little doubt to the premeditated nature of their attack. Quinton was taken to hospital following his injuries, unconscious, and he was suffering from multiple brain lesions. He was then placed into induced coma in the start of the brain death. And of course, Quinton died at the hands of these violent Antifa members. And remember, in the UK, they are still roaming and are not prescribed as a terrorist organization. Let's get into the UK High Court ruling from today that ruled the government's decision to ban Palestine Action campaign group as a terrorist organization as unlawful. The court judges said the ban had interfered with the right to freedom of speech, adding that the measure would remain in place to give the government a chance to appeal. Shabana Mahmood is going to be appealing this decision. So at this moment in time, Palestine Action, of course, still are prescribed as a terrorist organization, but it looks as though that they did win their High Court ruling at this moment in time. Now, there's a lot of outrage about this, of course, online because of what they've done. They broke into military facilities, damaged military aircrafts, broke a police officer's back, attacked police, attacked people all of the time. They are the same they're the same cut as Antifa. And far left terrorism, far left violence is something that the establishment has been ignoring for far too long in multiple countries. In the USA as well, Antifa isn't prescribed as a terrorist organization, despite all that they do. But Palestine Action actually was. But as you can see, they had won a legal challenge against the Home Office decision to ban its terror group. Now, there was a statement from the Met Police today as well that the High Court had found that the decision to prescribe Palestine Action was unlawful. However, the group remains prescribed pending the outcome of any government appeal, which means expressing support is still a criminal offence. We recognise these are unusual circumstances. From a Metropolitan Police perspective, officers will continue identifying offences where support for Palestine Action is being expressed, but they will focus on gathering evidence of those offences and the people involved to provide opportunities for enforcement at a later date, rather than making arrests at the time. That doesn't make any sense. This is the most proportionate approach we can take, acknowledging the decisions reached by the court while recognizing that proceedings are not fully concluded. Well, they're still prescribed as a terrorist organization. So do your job, Met Police. This approach relates solely to expression of support for Palestine action. We'll continue to intervene and make arrests where we see people crossing the line from lawful protest to intimidate, to damage property and use violence to stir up racial hatred or commit other offenses. We are mindful that this decision comes at a time when the impact of the prolonged period of significant protest continues to be felt by communities across London, in particular Jewish communities. We will continue to take an assertive and determined approach to dealing with anti-Semitism and other hate crime, acting decisively against anyone who tries to use the cover of protest to cause fear and distress Londoners. Now, Nigel Farage, of course, came out and spoke about this and said yet another example of how in Britain today, if you're a left-wing group that hates our country, attacks our police officers and damages our armed forces, you can break the law and get away with it. And Nigel is absolutely correct, because these far-left violent groups for a very long time have been ignored. Look at the scenes in the United States at how violent these individuals are. Heck, one of them took the life of Charlie Kirk. They're violent, and they need to be prescribed as a terrorist organization. I, for one, am happy for freedom of speech. I don't get butthurt on what people can say, but there's a line when violence happens. Palestine action are violent. Antifa most certainly are violent. And these pro-Palestine mobs need to, of course, be looked at. Not just Palestine action, but Antifa as well. Because look at the scenes on what we're seeing in France today with regard to a 23-year-old conservative. They hate anyone that doesn't agree with their opinion and will inflict violence upon them. And we have those same individuals that are capable of doing such acts in the United Kingdom as well. And it's time we do prescribe a worldwide prescription on Antifa. And Palestine action, let's see what Shabana Mahmood does. She's apparently appealing it, which is good. Good on her. And let's see what happens. But if it comes to a point where the High Court ruling allows Palestine action to still operate after all they have done, it's absolute insanity to me. Truly is. But let's get into the live chat, ladies and gentlemen. Do let me know your thoughts on both stories. The first one, of course, of the conservative man, of course, killed in Lyon. And, of course, the Palestine action UK High Court ruling. What do you make of both of these? Lion Tamer says, we're doing nothing about it. That's why it keeps happening, for fuck's sake. Yes, you're right. And it happens time and time again. When you realize that, again, you see that people talk about the far right all the time. At the United Kingdom rally, in the United Kingdom specifically, every patriot that was out there, I think there was reported numbers up to 1 million. I think it was around 6 arrests at the United Kingdom rally. And again, that's a numbers game. You're going to get arseholes in every department. In terms of, you know, if you go to Wembley at a football game, 100,000 people there, you're always going to get an arrest. It's numbers game, especially with 1 million. 6 is actually not that much, considering people trying to antagonize individuals and whatnot. However, time and time again, if you look at the Palestine statistics, especially the week after the United Kingdom protest, much less amount of people, but far more arrests. No one was condoning such behavior. Because the thing is, these groups are constantly ignored by the establishment. Same with the people that killed Charlie Kirk. The same with the other attacks that we're seeing here with Quinton, now in Lyon. Now, the right in France are, of course, outraged over it, and so they should be. But will anything be done to it? Because the governments constantly pander towards these far-left groups and these Palestine groups, that nothing will ever be done about it. And that's the issue. It truly is shocking. Brait says, Pally action will be out in force tomorrow. Stevie said, what country was the man beaten to death? Yes, that was France, guys. Just to clarify, the man that was beaten to death, a conservative boy protecting women, was in France. However, of course, the Palestine action High Court ruling was in the United Kingdom. Both cut from the same cloth. Both of these organizations, both with the same remit, both very violent, just different name, different label. And yes, we do have Antifa, of course, operating in the United Kingdom as well. Mr. The Courier says, I wonder how left-wing the judge was that changed this order. The thing is with the situation in the Palestine action, I don't know how anyone can look at the actions that they've done, i.e., smashing a police officer's back with a sledgehammer. Okay, that's not enough to maybe be prescribed as a terrorist organization, but damaging our military aircrafts, spraying paint all over them, trespassing, trying to destroy things. That's what a terrorist organization does. So, of course, how can some individual look at that and go, no. And I'm on the government side for a change. To be fair to Starmer, Shabana Mahmood, whilst they do ignore a hell of a lot of other things like the Muslim Brotherhood, Antifa, and all these things, at least they went as far as to prescribe them as a terrorist organization. And now I'm actually on the side of Labour than over the courts, to try and get these individuals actually kept as prescribed terrorist organization. Otherwise, all hell is going to break loose if they are not. Dry Marker Blue says the next 2 years is going to be messy, I feel. Exactly. It's shocking. But the thing is, there's always a different basis on the right and on the left. I've said this time and time again. The far left are, a lot of them are violent, but they hate you for your opinion. On the right, people will just disagree with your opinion if you're on the left. They'll just say, okay, whatever. Maybe have a debate about it, but they're not going to get violent. Trust me, try and speak to one of these far left radicals. I was in Vietnam once. I was on a bus. I've probably told this story, actually, funnily enough, and shout out to my friends that were there. But essentially, we were on like a booze bus or something like that out in Vietnam, nearly a year ago or something like that. And yeah, essentially we were on there. We were, pub crawl, etc. Drinks were flowing a little bit, was good. And I heard this German-like guy was freaking weird looking, right? And there was 3 young Polish girls at the back of the bus. And this individual just starts shouting at them, going, your government are racist, your government are shocking, blah, 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 blah. Just going in on that. Bearing in mind, they're just on holiday, trying to enjoy themselves. So we just try to, as we try and do with these liberals, just try and wind them up. And I just said, I couldn't help overhear a conversation. Are you an AFD supporter? How dare you? Mate, and he started getting truly violent, foaming at the mouth. And yeah, not intimidating whatsoever. But he obviously couldn't control his emotions. He couldn't believe that, he had to get his politics out there on the bus to these Polish girls. He had to have a go at me for even just inciting that he supported AFD. And he was like, yeah. And he was just like, foaming, absolutely foaming. And then some of my other mates were just getting involved and trying to wind him up before he had a complete meltdown, bless him. But yeah, I mean, they are violent. He was like punching things. He was trying to get us outside. I was like, mate, you're not going to do anything, buddy. But either way, I've seen it firsthand on what they're like. And this guy was just a normal dude that was on holiday. I really couldn't get his emotions out. So violent over people that didn't believe in his decisions or believe in his politics or believe in what he believes in, which is ludicrous, by the way. So yeah, he was a guy that was trying to attack on 3 Polish girls just for being Polish over the Polish government's politics. Insane. Truly is. Let's have a little look in here and see what people are saying in the live chat. Marcosi says, Antifa are a terrorist organization. Yes, in our opinion. But if you look at the UK official ruling on Antifa, they're not. Antifa is not a prescribed terrorist organization in the UK nor the United States. Antifa is essentially short for anti-fascist. And as I said, in the UK legal position at the time of recording this, in the UK, groups are officially banned under the Terrorism Act 2000 if Home Secretary places them on the prescribed organization list, which Palestine Action were. Antifa does not appear on that list because it is not a defined organization. It is legally difficult to prescribe it in the same way as a structured group like a named extremist organization. So Antifa are actually not prescribed, nor in the United States. They've not designed Antifa as a terrorist organization either. And majority of the world, that's the same case, the same ruling. Dave Porter says Nazism and socialism is the same thing. You are right. You're absolutely right. Now, the thing is, the left always try to say that people that have politics of the right, conservatism even these days, are fascists and are Nazis. Those are the insults that you always get. But as you said that, you know, Hitler and the Nazi Party were socialists. They were of left-wing nature. And that's the weird thing that I always see all of the time. Yes, people can say, well, he wanted to exterminate certain people, but actually his policies and his politics was definitely far left, which they are all in favor for. Someone says they are in the US. The US's legal position is that the United States also does not designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. The US government designates specific organizations, not broad movements or ideologies. But yeah, people think that it's banned, but it's actually not prescribed as a terrorist organization in the United States, funnily enough. President Trump was going to prescribe Antifa. Well, hopefully he ends up doing it at some point. Yeah. Well, hopefully he gets it. The bad breath left. Yeah. No, well, as you can see, they all have absolutely horrific dress sense. They absolutely stink. And you can see them. You can already tell people's politics by the look of them. Now, I don't like to be that sort of guy that judges a book by its cover, but I'm proved time and time again that I'm correct when I look at these individuals. They all look the same. They all dress the same and all smell the same, funnily enough. And they all congregate in the same area. They truly are shocking individuals. But for a long time now, the establishment has always pandered towards far left groups and, of course, have ignored their violent actions. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. That's it from me. Do let me know your thoughts on this shocking story that came out of France with regard to the conservative boy Quinton being murdered by Antifa members. And do let me know your thoughts on the UK High Court ruling over saying that it is unlawful to ban Palestine